Alright, welcome back everyone. 皆さん、お帰りなさい。今日は319日目です。It is day 319. We've shifted our schedule. Hopefully I can keep this up maybe slightly an hour earlier as well. Let's see. So that means we're in front of this set right here. It's about 3 p.m. local time. And this will be shifted to tomorrow, right? Which then our level up day would be the day after. So it's one of those every 6th day as opposed to 5th day. This is our second half of our thing, which would probably be slot in somewhere down here. Or even the following day, but it'll be in the morning. So I think our schedule works out that way. I have to do these adjustments, these shift adjustments, like every 3 or so months, sort of. Maybe like anywhere from 2 to 3 months depending on how the drift is, which is to accommodate WaniKani's choice of not being able to schedule start times, right? And finish times constantly drift. Personally, from like a psychological manner and a habit formation, I think that's not a great idea. Or not having the flexibility to offer that as a choice to constantly offset or buffer the start time, because finishing might be like reasonable, but starting is also very important for habit formation. One has to start before it ends. Hello there, Brie. I'm actually explaining why today. WaniKani has they cycle reviews based on finish time, not on starting time. So after a while, you have to shift the schedule back early, like every month or so. So unlike, Duolingo and maybe other learning apps, they tend to be based on the nearest starting time, or they tend to be independent of starting time. Starting time is at the choice of the person a lot of times. But WaniKani, that's how Anki and their SRS thing works, where it's based on your finish time. Yeah. So that's one of the downsides. I think having the option to set a start time independent of a finish time would alleviate both type of schedules. But because my stream time is kept constant, because I do believe start times and finish times are very important, but I argue that start times are potentially even more important than finish times. Obviously, this is dependent on the activity, but in this case, I would say study when you're intentionally and intentfully have control over your study habits. Those are one of the activities that having intent is a bonus. Dependent on your finish, that's less of a bonus because it's less controllable. Like how well your study sessions go should not be paramount, should not affect how consistently you start. Sleeping is a great example where when you finish, like how you finish, or when you quote unquote finish, is important. Like getting up at the same time, but remember, going to sleep at similar times is also part of the equation. And WaniKani does the thing where they believe that learning is like asymmetrical, where so if you have reviews around this time, then you just wait for the next day. That creates asynchronous, and it allows inconsistency. That's kind of like if you're going to the gym, today is a little bit wobbly, I'm just gonna skip going to the gym, right? They're both very important. So having both examples, being able to intentionally decide when your start time is and trying to finish at a very consistent time is also quite important. However, learning is one of those things where I think it leans closer to the starting time than the ending time. Ending time usually becomes like, if you keep saying it ends at a specific time, then your brain kind of just checks out at the same time too. A great example would be kind of like classrooms, where when it gets close to the end of the class, people turn their brains off earlier and earlier because it's getting closer and closer to the end time. But when you have a adequate start time, that start time is the intent that you must have, and it's probably the more difficult thing to do when it comes to learning. At when you decide to start and you begin the session is probably one of the toughest. And for habit formation, starting at the same time over time, so like over time you get accustomed to that start time, that alleviates the difficulty originally. So the first day is going to feel like garbage. Like, I'm going to try to project and empathize with kids. You know, summer vacation's over, you get into class, the first day is going to feel like garbage. And the second day feels a little less. Third, fourth, fifth, largely because the start time is the same. That's what creates some of the comfortness of regularity, despite having dysfunctional timing everywhere else. And I think that's where, in my opinion, SRS, or maybe the way WaniKani's SRS, because I think this is not true about something we're going to start soon in 2026, where you can set a time despite when your finish time is. Right, it's the nearest. Hanzahiro is every 24 hours. So it's at the very same time every 24 hours. Regardless of how much you finish, it's gonna ante up to the same threshold. And then the items will be whatever you had left over plus whatever is coming. And it's a fixed volume in a sense of every day's daily refresh. So that creates a buffer zone. And it keeps someone regular. And that's kind of how it feels, despite me having to do WaniKani at an asymmetrical way, and then Hanzahiro as it. So right now, this is our usual shift. I pretty much have done this usual shift for 10 times now, roughly 10 times. I would say every 3 to a month is when I have to shift 3 hours again because of finish time. And I still am off by an hour or two, so we'll still keep. I mean, a scheduler is fine. This is what the schedulers are for, so we're trying to schedule around that. It does put a wrench in a lot of things, in terms of scheduling things. You saw the drawing? Oh yeah? Yeah. It's nice that you have fan art. That I finished early yesterday, Danny, so I was like, yeah, you know what? We can draw something in the background. I don't usually do things in the background, but yesterday, was it yesterday? No, the day before. Did I on stream? No, I didn't. That was like me having some spare time watching Midnight Diner and other things while doing that. I figure I'd do one just to see what it's like. Yeah. I think I more or less did what I think American cartoons do most of the time, or like American adult, like American family cartoons do. Your usual stuff, and then I added a little bit of my own coloring things, so you can tell that I did the coloring and stuff because that's how I render most things. It wasn't too bad. It was like 2.5 hours ish. About the normal amount of time. Yeah. Anyways, this shouldn't take too long. I was currently explaining why the earlier time. Yeah. And this will be the normal start time, or an hour earlier, maybe, for another 3 weeks until WaniKani drifts all the way back into the later days again. Maybe I'll try to come up with a different strategy here. Also, Bree, I don't know if you're still here. I was curious, since you're gonna have to work soon, right? Like in I think it's in less than a week. I know this is short notice, but was there any chance you were going to like do some progressive fitness or stamina training for your future position? Like, I don't know if you're ever try to maybe do some persistent stamina training with like stepping up or something. Like, I imagine you might have some sort of stairs or block or something, and maybe it's a thing that came to mind when I remember I had to start working on my like stamina for running, where I started very, very light, and that can be very rehabilitating, where, you know, each day you step up onto a block or something for 1 or 2 times, then tomorrow you try to do 3, but ultimately the idea is you kind of lean in and slowly try to build your stamina on your feet. And oftentimes you'll get ready for work. It was nice waking up to a masterpiece. No worries. Yeah, take care, Danny. Good luck with work. I'm glad you're feeling good enough to go back to work, Danny. Stay safe and healthy as well. You've been working on standing for longer periods, but that's all you've really done. And yes, you're supposed to start this coming Sunday. Okay. Yeah, I look forward to some more of your studies, Danny. Yeah, that Instagram sketch thing, it's gotta be great. You gotta put more posts, more sketch posts. Maybe I liked your sketch Instagram idea, so I did a render of my own because you decide to post something like that. It's a good idea. Great idea to keep yourself consistent. You've been working on standing for a longer time? Yeah, so I know this might not sound like vastly different. However, oftentimes stamina can be really great, but it can work against you if it can. Static standing and whatnot can work against you with having more stamina but less like less kind of sufficient strength training. So oftentimes when I was running, like, I was pretty terrible on my feet, honestly. There are staircases outside, right? So I usually take the one step here. The first step, you know, there's a long staircase, but I would usually take one step, like 1 foot, like left foot up, then right foot, then left foot down, then right foot. And I would do, like, I would start very fine. Like, even for myself, I start with 10 steps, right? Just 1, right? And then back down, then 2. And this was a great way to slowly add a lift. And the thing I'm talking about, why am I talking about step ups? The thing about step up is when you're walking and you're standing, the idea is you want to normalize slightly a bigger movement, in my opinion. Largely because then you have buffer room. You have like a spacer between your lowest amount of engagement versus your your highest potential engagement. And we're not talking about things where you're jumping to thousands of things, but this is more of a quality. In my opinion, this is more in the mindset of a dynamic stretch movement, not so much it's to promote mobility over like strength. But generally speaking, having a block or something, it's one of those things where you've probably seen representations of people who are getting older and older. Like if you have people getting older as well as people who have increasingly limited movement, this is usually something that is very time efficient, so it doesn't kind of drag on the mind, while being very, very easily regulated and tracked, so that it's kind of like it takes the convenience of weightlifting to make it into like a digestible thing. Stamina training often can lead to like longer utility of the body, so oftentimes when you're combining a little half and half, it can like wane less mentally while also being very adjustable. You've been doing stretching and walking in place, but you do have a knee injury at the moment. I see. Nothing too serious, but that's just another thing working against you at the moment. Yeah. So I imagine there is going to be knee weakness and whatnot. This is probably, in my opinion, you're like, if oftentimes people work at their least amount, like they usually work here, and then those who like believe they really need to get their act together, they work overload, to which is not as great in my opinion as well. And I feel step ups is kind of in between. So overload would be something like suddenly going for long walks or even jogging immediately. And then the lease is to put in like static holding, where it involves being static most of the time. And then step ups are pretty, like I did step ups in between when I was running, so I tend to be here most of the time. I don't do these anymore, but I thought about it every time I climb stairs. One of those things that it can build the support muscles around knee joints and your ankles, which standing position in neutral tend not to do as much. And when you have to do quite a lot of this at the expense of building stamina, and oftentimes people actually have quite a lot of stamina, so kind of have lots of stamina, not as much supportive strength to promote that stamina. So oftentimes when I think about people who have progressively discouraging physical fitness, they tend to not have supportive muscles but still continue to use their stamina, and that creates, in my opinion, over time, like wear, like over wear. So kind of like when someone's running, right? When someone's running, they can run a lot longer, like a lot longer than their muscles can support over time. So over time, it would create like shin splints, at least in my opinion. This is not like physical. I don't actually have like physiological, I'm not a physical therapist, but the idea is I often think that the support muscles, like the way your muscles can handle impact and movement, is kind of separate from how much stamina you have. Some people can walk a really long time because they have the stamina to do so. That doesn't necessarily mean they won't end up getting shin splints and like ankle weaknesses and knee knee wear and tear on them, because it doesn't make up for form, like your ability to maintain that motion. So I've had shin splints before, and some ankle stiffness and an imbalance of the knees, despite having the stamina to do so. So you can have the stamina to run a marathon. That doesn't mean you're protected from the weakness in your joints. So oftentimes, one thing that can get neglected in pretty much anyone is overestimating how much, like, if you have sufficient strength around your joints, despite being very have the ability to constantly be active. And I've often found this out when it happens, like most people, where when you start developing shin splints, ankles, knee weakness, despite feeling good enough to go, oftentimes that is a property of strength and mobility problems versus having the stamina to like be up on your feet all the time. My mother kind of struggles with that quite a lot since she's on her feet most of the time, but she doesn't do any form of like basal foundational strength training, so her knees and ankles are pretty much like very weak and unprotected regardless of how long she can stand in days. Still remember those days where I liked to stand a lot, but I'm no longer that young, and knee weakness, ankle weakness tends to come into play. So in this case, when you're doing like step ups and stuff, it's actually less is more situation, because what you can potentially gain physically with 10 steps ups would be like hours of standing, largely because there might be a lack of flex, mobility, and strength around your joints. I don't know. It's something that came to mind, but yes, I hope your future, I hope Sunday isn't too brutal, right? So this coming Sunday, you say? What we're talking about in like 3 days-ish? You've been doing... I'm glad to hear that you've been doing some stretching and walking in place. Walking in place is great. High knees, so like when I was trying to get up to running, I was not in running shape when I first started. You know, trying to slowly raising your knees, right? Deliberately kicking up your knees and then lowering down like a slow motion, like constantly trying to raise your knees a little bit. That's a great way. And you can stay on your feet less, but increase the movement. That's a way to save time while also gaining like a disproportionate gain for your time, so to speak. So being able to kind of increase your movements over time as opposed to increasing the amount of time to give benefits where trying to endure may not. Nothing too serious, but that's just another thing. Yeah, the knee injury. I don't know what the nature of your knee injury, but hopefully it's something that is able to be strengthened, at least mitigated with progressively varied movements while you try to maintain your job, right? This thought came to my mind, and I forgot to mention it yesterday when you stopped by, where I was kind of curious what your timing is like. Largely, these things will take, I would say, a conservative 2 or 3 weeks beforehand, but adding that one extra step up is a great motivator, and also they tend to be time savers compared to doing much longer prep work for walking and whatnot. And it's for confined spaces, so I was specifically thinking about confined spaces. I did step ups instead of going outside to walk, largely because, well, my apartment is somewhere, and walking out at night is kind of not great. So oftentimes you can find, if you can find a box that supports your weight, and then stepping up as carefully as possible. You can even have like things to support you. Nowadays, to like strengthen my knees without spending hours walking, I typically grip onto whatever I have, and I would try to slowly bend myself down, see if there's any weakness in the movement, and then bend myself up. But having 2 chairs and stuff where you can slowly try to like bend your knees while going back and up is a great way to try to improve the stability around your knee. And obviously all of this stuff could be properly handled with a physical therapist, right? Unless it's some irreparable injury. Although those types of movements can still be mitigated with rehabilitation to some extent. My thought, obviously, is that if you're going to have to do this, you're going to have to work, and that's in your imminent future. Spacing out a movement like this would likely, like, almost certainly improve your experience. That is inevitable, right? And having that could make one feel a lot better mentally, as well as potentially physically. Just thought that was something on my mind when I was walking up the stairs. I think about stair walking all the time because I walk up and down the stairs like 6 or 7 times a day. So that's one of those things where your place of living, the way your environment is, could dramatically normalize activity that will promote regular movement, that can help with one's lifestyle. All right, get back into this. Shouldn't take that long. Shouldn't.
So,
Mazushi.
不適
I used to do this with other people. Like, what I mean is, if I was like with someone or we were in person-to-person contact, we would be like accountability partners for each other, right? Having some sort of accountability partner or a coworker or a friend or family member to do these really short 3 to 4 hour habit formation, they become like clockwork over time. Like running sounds like a big deal initially, right, for 5 minutes, but then it kind of fades away immediately. I want to impart on the idea, much like relating to the WaniKani situation in my stream start time. This is what I mean by having the intent of starting something and meeting a volume requirement that you set yourself up for. That can both mentally and physically return quite a lot. And one of them is to find some sort of incentive to engage in the activity in the process of doing so. Like, for example, in order for me to get to the kitchen, I have to walk up a flight of stairs. And because of that, that motion, it becomes the minimum amount of point of reference for activity. And in order to stream, I have to run 5 minutes, or 5 minutes in order for stream to happen. So these type of things really is hard to describe analytically, but definitely do not underestimate. Like, humans should not underestimate their ability to normalize a new level of activity provided that you can provide enough mental stimulation and motivation in it. Be it someone being happy to hear that you were able to do, 5 steps a day, then 6, 7. That's kind of what physical therapists, the other part of having a physical therapist and or a personal trainer, I feel that is very underrepresented. Having physical therapists and or a personal trainer, or even having an accountability partner like a coworker who goes to work out with you and whatnot, it's uncalculable how useful that is to have someone like that, especially someone in person, right? Like if they're gonna do it, you're gonna go with them to do it, and then vice versa. And obviously that's something that I feel you do not have a lot of privilege in, considering how often you share your stories. It feels like it would be really wonderful to hear that a support system, or the beginnings of a support system, is available to you sometime, despite the work, like having to start to work and whatnot. So I kind of look forward to hearing, fingers crossed, that you'll meet people that form a new form of support system. And yeah. My replacement toothbrush heads came in, and my extra Brita water filters. Most exciting parts of my life is buying necessities. I don't know how other people feel. Yeah. Every 3 or 4 months I get to decide what to buy, and usually they're necessities. So we got some. I'm excited about these because Oral-B things are really expensive, but it seems like since the last time I bought, which you buy like a pack of 3 or something, it seems like I wonder, other people decide to start manufacturing replacements at a fraction of the cost. That's kind of nice. So it kind of cut. The exciting part about these things is I bought 8 of these and they cost like 1/4. I'm fine with what quality they have, but apparently they're really nice, which is fun, right? And then we bought more Brita water filters. Unfortunately, these are still quite expensive. Brita only Brita makes these, so that's fine. And then I recently bought a new shampoo and conditioner set. I think it was called Native. Very cost effective. Looked at the ingredients. Really nice. Here's one thing. That's kind of nice to have a perk of when you understand like a sort of chemistry and how it interacts with things. You can read labels pretty well. So we bought this new conditioner set, shampoo and conditioner set that is a fraction of the cost too. And then smell is obviously up to preference. It's coconut and vanilla, but that's besides the point. Most exciting parts of my life when it comes to spending money. Oh, you use Native too, especially their deodorant. You react to a lot of deodorants, but Native is one that haven't. Yes, it's quite limited. Like what I mean is the ingredients that they have functionally is what they say. They're trying to stray away from common interactions. So I think that's perfectly sufficient. As long as the content itself have some form of surfactant that is not quite harsh, right? That's all you really need. Like how the chemistry of our hair follicles and stuff is far more rudimentary than how the hair care and beauty, hair care and beauty, makeup, skincare industry would let you to believe. However, there is reactions. So you do have genetic reactions sometimes, like dermatitis and whatnot. So oftentimes, if you're able to find a product that strays away from common skin and dermatological interactions, and then at a fraction of the cost, it's probably pretty good. And then smell and stuff is up to personal preference. Achieving that smell can sometimes attract more of those reactants, but generally speaking, a typical surfactant is great, and if you don't have any reactions, you can pretty much use anything that's a surfactant in general, and your body will be able to handle it. Usually it's your diet and the things you consume and how well you take care of yourself that impacts like your hair health and all that, what is in your body. And then the rest is like pick a pleasant smell, right, that gives you nice mental clarity, something very affordable and accessible, and then especially not reactant to your skin. So I'm excited. I buy shampoo and conditioner like half a year. It takes like 6 months. So that's now we're in the same gang. And you use Brita too. Yeah, Brita is the most like cheapest to reach the quality. We're not going for like luxury reverse osmosis machines here. There's a Brita pitcher, but I bought like the elite filters just to get rid of potential leading, and that's really not that substantially more expensive than your standard. Your new favorite scent is blood orange and clove. I have no idea what that smells like. Like, I'm gonna tell you now, my ability to connect how you say cleaning fragrances with their description is like that kind of sounds like like a male stereotype, if you know what I mean. Like most of the time, what is the male scent? Musk, whatever that is. Like I've been using what is this thing called? People like this, so I was trying it out and it works really well. It's just very expensive. What is it called? Starts with an end. It was on Amazon and I thought I'd give it a try. I like finances is not the only determining factor. Just I like experimenting to some limited degree. It starts to like, hold up, let me find it. Nizoro or something, like I don't know how to pronounce that, but Nizoro, it's like it's an anti-dandruff shampoo with 1%. I just like what people said about it, so I wanted to try it out. And its scent is pretty much like scented, like your classic musky scented mint like thing. So it's been a while. I bought the standard coconut vanilla, but Native does have these fun little smells. Like cucumber and mint sounds very interesting, so maybe in the future I'll try different scents. Blood orange and clove, I'm not entirely sure what that smells like. I don't think I have an aversion to any particular smell in mind. Do you have any aversion to particular smells? I find most things smelling alright. Probably the thing that could distract me is if the smell is too strong. Like the intensity could be too much, but generally speaking, scents in general I find relatively pleasant for the most part. Like skin and hair care products tend to have agreeable scents. The intensity is probably where I could possibly draw some line, where cucumber and mint, for example, could smell really great, but if it's too intense, like I smell like a skunk with that smell, then that's pretty much my job line. But I haven't very much encountered a scent in which I'm like utterly repulsed by it, despite it being pleasant to someone else. Honestly, it really just orangey and citrusy. Okay, smelling. The only scent you're generally not a fan of are very, oh, florally scents. Interesting. I might, yeah, no, I feel you on that. Like, let's say like heavy lavender, heavy rose, heavy like florally things too. Same here. I like fruity smells. Citrus is definitely my wheelhouse. And then I'm okay with like coconut and vanilla are sort of the closest florally scents that are pretty stock, because vanilla tends to be slightly floral, since vanilla is one of those. And then coconut is technically a fruit, but it has that florally constitution a lot of times. But I do definitely on the side of fruits. Fruits are nice, and citrus is definitely a nice touch. I don't mind mint. Mint is technically supposed to be a floral component, so anything like musty mint, like neutral smelling, is okay too. It's largely dealing with the intensity. I don't want to end up smelling like a garden. You know, you walk around and it's like, oh yep, that's that guy who's wearing a proverbial garden on top of his head. No, not quite that. But most of the stuff advertised for men and whatnot tend to be very neutral, musky smelling, so they're largely very mild. Usually it's airing around the like kind of musk meets vanilla. You think the blood orange scent is really new though, so it's only available in deodorant right now. Oh, I see. I was for the longest time I was the citrus thing. The one citrus thing that comes to mind that's like a very long stereotype is Garnier Fructis, right? That back in the day, that was, for me, like I enjoyed the scent of Garnier Fructis because they generally used a citrusy side for the extra smell. When I think about intensely floral scents, I would think of like herbal essences way back in the day. Our herbal essences tend to have occasionally, like their popular ones actually are the more intensely floral scenting ones. But Garnier Fructis was the one that I would say immediately brings back classic smells of orange and citrus things, because that was their whole thing. And those two brands are still manufacturers, right? And suppliers are doing pretty well still for very affordable shampoos and conditioners, as long as you do not react to any of the products, right? Again, there's not that, if I have to be fairly honest about the skincare and hair care industry, science doesn't show statistical significance for many of these products, so they don't have to as well. So the idea is to find something that you enjoy mentally, like both olfaction and for the mental, and as well as making sure that you're able to identify what type of products that make that product do its thing, not react with your epidermis, right? Which is also part of your hair follicle, around your hair follicles. Your shampoo right now is a dry scalp shampoo, so the scent is very subtle, but it's meant to be a green apple scent. That's nice. That smell, I can actually feel or rekindle what a subtle green apple smell would smell like. Yeah, wintertime, I typically, a consideration for most people if they have a winter climate, winter climate is go from heavier moisturizing stuff for dry scalp, more moisturizing during the winter time, and then during the summer you can switch to something a little bit more adventurous, because dry scalping and stuff doesn't really happen in the winter time. And that would be the most quote-unquote science related benefit, where you swap between something high in moisturizing, so capturing, not to dry out, between the climates. Other than that, tracking skin reactivity, and then that's about it, honestly. Everything else, like, they're hustles, they're grifts. So if you're at least in my professional, or not necessarily professional opinion, but my understanding of science and the literature, usually it's statistically negligible, if not completely lacking or void of evidence-based claims. Usually, at least in the world of commercialism, they are not required to independently or converging evidence demonstrate the claims that they make on these products. That includes pretty much, in my opinion, 90% of skincare products. There are very specific active ingredients in a less than 10 for both skin, for epidermis, epidermal health, and hair follicles. There's less than 10 really well studied active ingredients. And usually the ones that we're talking about aren't even available over the counter in a specific application. So regardless, you want to find something that is maintaining the moisture of your skin, and then the rest is making sure your body is recovering, you have nutrients to your body, and healthy lifestyle, avoiding sources of potential dermatological damage and hair follicle damage. And right, like, we're not talking about wetting your hair and sleeping in wetting hair like 24/7. That's gonna destroy your scalp. But mostly it's protecting. You're trying to be preventive against your usual damages, not some magical formula that reverses aging or something like that. At least for now. Maybe science will change that in the future.
延期する
I just wanted to share that because I feel like oftentimes, if there's anything that grifts harder than language learning apps nowadays, it's probably dermatological care. And your hair follicles and your scalp is actually part of your epidermis. So most of the products that people like translate and go back and forth and try to oversell is dealing with your outer skin layer. By coincidence, dermatology wasn't my field of expertise, but by coincidence, I had to at least learn some things over the 2 years that I was working for the government, because I worked in a skin carcinogenesis lab. So we had to at least learn the basic foundations and stuff. And with that knowledge came my curiosity about skincare products and hair care products. Usually there's for 90% or more of skincare and hair care product claims, yeah, 90% of them do not have any substantial statistical, even independent research proving whatever they claim. So still back to the basic sciences of surfactants. Surfactants remove natural oils. So once you use a surfactant, replace those oils temporarily with moisturizer, and then allow your, you sleep, you eat well, for your body to recuperate and redeposit those oils, and then you rinse and repeat, right? All puns intended. You rinse and repeat each and every so often to keep your skin, slow the aging process of your skin from your usual damages, which is like radiation from the sun and whatnot, and age, basically aging. It's not the most romantic, like science haven't been leaps and bounds when it comes to dermatological health. Although, hear me out, this is a little bit interesting. I'm not sure if this is relevant to you, Bree, but there was a breakthrough in enamel materialization for dental health. So that's super neat. I forgot which university published this, but it's reaching the stage of application soon. So they can, you know how we have feelings, right? We use not feelings, the heart feelings, but fillings in the teeth. Where if you have tooth decay, you would fill it in with a synthetic component, which often could be. It's often like a polymer that tries to mirror enamel. But recently there was a breakthrough that is currently being tested and may be seen to hit possibly at least your dental office in the next year or two, where they can inject a matrix into your teeth in like the location, and it can stimulate your own body's process to re-enamelize the place. So there is a potential solution to naturally creating a trigger for remineralizing your teeth using the body's ability to do so with a component, which is great. That sounds pretty darn amazing. I haven't read the specifics on what the principles are behind that, but it's pretty neat to think that there are scientific discoveries being made on how to otherwise reverse or repair a particular component of the body that was often accepted as irreversible or irreplaceable non-generative process. And that's neat. Rematerializing enamel sounds like something, to me, like someone who doesn't study large macro parts of the human body, that sounds like science fiction to me. And thinking that I will see it in my lifetime, let alone the next couple years, that's amazing. Science still continues to amaze. At least for me, I have a warm spot for science. Anyways, thought I share that. I shared that with some of my personal friends and goobers who have they have some anxiety attached to teeth. I do too. Actually, it's very common. I don't have any statistics, but at least anecdotally and like how I feel about the internet, there's often one of the human conditions is concern for your dental health. That's one of the things that tend to come up as a form of coupling with anxiety. So that type of news, that type of breakthrough in, I guess you could call it medicine, but dental health is quite an amazing thing. I think whoever was doing that research and continues to do those type of research, it can vastly improve quality of life. It can also change the landscape of dental care in general. I'm fingers crossed that businesses may not necessarily make it a nightmare, but it is quite a boon to have breakthroughs in quote unquote modern medicine. I know that dental health is a different branch, right? And however, it still deals with quality of life of humans, and that's pretty neat. A very interesting, rare W for science. Now, it could be a big W for businesses and insurance companies, so that's a little bit hard to know yet. However, this discovery, I believe, was public domain. So it was academic science, which means that it's open competition, possibly, but it's hard to know. These things aren't disclosed very well, so it could end up being a proprietary commercial product, and that would be financially gated. These things happen. I mean, even allergy medication was at one time kind of financially gated, like antihistamines and stuff. I don't want to be too much of a cynic. It's still really awesome to see discoveries like that.
せ
Okay. 電気柵。
電気柵。
切符
照れる。
照れる。
翌朝
さ
未
未
婚
婚。
乾
乾
く
く。
匂う
浮気。
浮気。
快
快
速。
速。お
一覧。
一覧。
観覧。
観覧。
盗
盗
作。
作。
越見
and
名。
名。
快
快
楽
楽。
漏
漏
水。
水。心よい。
浮く。
浮く。はい、oops。背
背後。
後。え
懐
懐
かしい
かしい。夜明け。Oh. Wait. Oh no. 夜更け。
夜更け
夜更け。
深い。
深い。
飾る
Kazaru.
Kaikan.
Kaikan.
濡らす
Dang it, I keep doing that. Azukeru. 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 Nusumu. Oh no.
強盗
Goto.
Yokunen.
Yokunen. Nani? Yokunen.
結婚
Kekkon.
伸ばす
Nobasu.
適当
Tekito.
電
Denshoku.
飾
Ek.
背景
Aike. 快適
傑
傑
作
作
球根
Yukon. Heck, why am I drawing a blank? Oh no. Oh. Oh, whoops.
騒ぐ
Sawagu.
取る
Toru.
盗
盗
撮
撮
魅
魅
力
力
旗
Hata. Okay. What in oh no, this was from yesterday. Hoang and clan. How did the tongue and clan thing work? It's lick, right? And what the lick? Nachos. Huh? Oh wait. Tatsue.
撮影
Oi.
超える
Koeru. Yofugashi. All right. We're gonna have another leap day, right? Let's see. This should be in the morning. Oh, it's 2 p.m. That's right on time. Okay, so we're good. We had time to yap today. I was making sure. And then this will bleed into tomorrow. Oh yeah, and then we got our 3 new guys. So wait. Yeah, so this is going to be tomorrow's stuff. And then tomorrow, this is going to lead into that. And then we have we have a really big day on Sunday after level up. Okay. And then we're back to schedule. Okay. We want to be a little bit earlier tomorrow as well. Keep going a little quicker. Get on earlier. All right. We're doing our reads, then our definition. Saku. Saku, fence. Meet, alluring. Kawa, dry up. Ke, lineage. Kon, marriage. Yu, play. Ki, flag. Sho, illuminates. Kai, pleasure. Han, addition. Bean, poor. Bowl, scarce. Techie, suitable. Yo, deposit. En, prolong. Yoku, the next. Ran, look at. That's it. Nostalgia. Bolt, push. Makura, pillow. Uwa, floats. Roll, leak. Poo, token. Pull, purchase. Etsu, beyond. Shoku, decorate. Soul, boisterous. Hai, back. Satsu, photograph. Toll, sell. Nyo, smell. New, wet. And mei, niece. Alright. I think our new routine is pretty solid now for WaniKani. It's not too bad. Alright folks, that's a wrap for our WaniKani session today. If you're gonna watch this later, arigatou gozaimasu. As always, feel free to follow along, pick up WaniKani for yourself, give it a try, and let me know what you think. Great. You're always welcome to yap. I come bearing stories each and every day. If not, I tend to have a pocket of backlogs stories to talk about. So I still have a couple more backstories. I think my backlog is like 6 or 7 right now. And somehow I will pigeonhole them back into language learning. Don't be shy. You give me a story, I'll most definitely reciprocate 2 or 3 additional stories. Right? Keep each other motivated, interested mutually in each other's lives. That's a great way to give something freely given, right? Between strangers. So until next time, minasan mata ne. Nite kurete arigato. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna get up, walk around, stretch a little bit, and I will be back for Hanzahiro. Thank you.